Ryan Thorpe went undercover to pose as a white nationalist who wanted to join the group. And we're very fortunate to have Ryan joining us live right now from Winnipeg. Thank you for taking the time today.
Pleasure to be here.
Let me ask you about this story. And, you really went undercover. It's a month-long investigation into the group's activities. What did you see and hear? What did you experience?
Well, this group is a very radicalized collection of neo-Nazis that think a race war is on the horizon and wanting to get here as soon as possible in an effort to bring down the system.
And what about this reservist in question here? What can you tell us from your point of view?
So I met this trying to infiltrate this group, and he revealed to me that he was the individual putting up these posters around the city, and that he had also traveled to the U.S. to participate in paramilitary training with other members of the network.
Yeah, if you could just repeat the beginning of that, because we just lost your audio for a moment there, Ryan, if you can. So you're saying that you had contact with him, and he said that he was the one responsible for putting up these flyers in and around Winnipeg. Is that correct?
That's exactly right.
And he had also gone to the U.S. for, as you said, paramilitary training?
That's correct, yes. That's what he had indicated to me.
All right. How big is this group? We mentioned the name, The Base. What can you tell us?
Well, it's hard to say exactly because they purposely create information silos within the organization so that if there is a security breach or a leak, it doesn't expose everyone. At the very least, there seem to be about 45 members in North America, and they are actively trying to recruit more. Although that 45, that's probably a conservative estimate.
A conservative estimate. Okay, and also in terms of the foothold, let's say in Winnipeg, if we're talking about 45 people sort of spread around, it would be a much smaller number in the city of Winnipeg, as far as you could tell anyway.
That's exactly right. My impression was that Patrick Matthews was the only member of the base in Winnipeg, and he was trying to start up a cell to begin paramilitary training in the province.
Going through your piece, you also highlight, Ryan, the fact this is not an isolated incident. And I just want to dig into that if we can here. The notion that, you referenced the military report from last year where there were more than 50 members of the military being identified as being part of hate groups or engaged in extremist activities or having extremist points of view over the past 4 years. What's your read on that?
Yeah. That's exactly right. So that number was 53. That really only represents the folks we know about. Those are the individuals that have slipped up some way and exposed themselves. As we've just seen here in Winnipeg, there are folks flying under the radar. So we don't really know the scope of this problem and how widespread it is.
We played a small piece of audio and video from, as you know, that Army commander who says, they're looking into it and everything. I mean, how does that work from your point of view? Have you sort of passed this information on to the authorities in any way?
I haven't passed along my files to anyone. We provided as much information as we could in the articles themselves. And certainly the military or the RCMP haven't reached out to us to try to files on this.
When you were trying to infiltrate this group, so to speak, I'm curious whether there were ever any conversations in which they were leery, Ryan, of quote-unquote outsiders, worried about, trying to protect the base and this small group here. As you say, they had kind of a siloed system where different groups, maybe different people weren't talking to one another. What can you tell us on that? Because I know obviously they're aware that the media is looking into this more and more. Police are aware. Now, in this case, the military looking into it.
Certainly, yeah. They, in order to infiltrate the group, I had to kind of go through this multi-tiered vetting process. It began with some emails. Eventually, I was invited to download the encrypted messaging app Wire, which is a platform there to communicate. And then finally, it was an in-person meeting with the Winnipeg member of the base, who I later identified as Corporal Patrick Matthews. So they do have a vetting process in place. I imagine after they realize what I've done, they're going to try and, make that even stronger still. Yeah, these people aren't throwing their doors open to absolutely anyone. They're not looking to recruit a lot of people. They want to create 2 to 3 man cells in as many regions as possible. So for them, it's really about what they see as quality over quantity.
In terms of their quote, operations. I'm wondering, is it about putting up flyers? Are they planning to do anything?
They're planning to organize paramilitary training to prepare for the race war that they think is coming. And they support a theory called accelerationism, which is the notion that these radicals should seek to create disorder. They want to make the current society as unsustainable and as bad as possible so that people start picking up guns. So they're preparing for that. And, I would argue that what is implicit within this call for accelerationism is terror attacks, and they certainly celebrate these whenever they happen and explicitly call for high body count.
Yeah, accelerationism, trying to trigger an accelerated timeline toward a so-called race war. One last thing. Now that this story has come out, you're talking to people in the media, elsewhere outside of the Free Press, of course. Are you at all worried about your own safety?
I recognize that what we've done here is not without its risks. I don't want to be cavalier about it. I took safety precautions throughout this process. I'm continuing to take some now. But ultimately, I'm not walking around terrified all day long.
Ryan, thank you for taking a bit of time to come on CTV. We salute the reporting you're doing on the story, and we appreciate you giving us your take on it.
Pleasure to be here.